So today I'm back with another buying guide video. This is going to be a pretty easy one, but we're going to be going over the Versace Eros fragrance line for men, so just the current 3 different versions. We've got the Eau de Toilette, we have the Eau de Parfum, and then finally we have Flame. I'm just going to give you a rundown on each of these, go over performance, note breakdown, smell, that sort of thing. And then towards the end of the video, I'm going to tell you which ones are my favorite and which ones I think are worth picking up. Versace Eros is one of those divisive ones. People who are after the compliments, after the playful, youthful smelling stuff are a big fan of this one. But people who want something a bit more refined, a bit less playful, don't really like this one. Synthetic gets thrown around, juvenile gets thrown around, a whole bunch of different things, and ultimately it's going to be up to your personal preference. I don't mind Eros. I think it's a pretty solid scent and there's no denying just the impact that this one has made in the community. So I've got the Eau de Toilette right here, and we're just going to go over the note breakdown and the most prominent notes. Really for me, I get mint, apple, vanilla, and tonka bean as some of the main notes. It's really all about the vanilla apple in the opening. Smells fantastic with that nice green mint pop as well. It's sweet, it's aromatic, it's a bit fresh. It's a nice balance. It's got a bit of a bubblegummy vibe. It's very playful, it's very fun, and it's very sexy. When you smell this, you definitely can tell that this was made for the younger guy in mind. So for all of you guys in college and high school, that sort of thing, Eros is going to be right up your alley. Of course, you can be older and wear this one as well. It doesn't really matter, but generally this is going to appeal towards the younger guys, the younger crowd. So where it gets tricky is when you get into performance, because there have been many claims of reformulation over the years. If you look way back on the old Fragrantica reviews, if you look back at some old YouTube reviews, you'll see performance being beast mode. Everyone says it's beast mode, you know, it's 10, 11, 12 plus hours, longevity, very strong room filling projection. Now, if you were to go and look at some newer reviews of the Eau de Toilette, you don't get the same thing. Again, many people are saying that this one just is weak now, it doesn't last that long, and you know, all of these different things. Now, what I can tell you is that my bottle here, a 2017 bottle, so it is getting older now at this point, but in 2017, this one here has good performance. It's a good 8-9 hour longevity scent, sometimes a bit longer, and a very, very strong projector, especially if you get some heat on it or if your body heat itself is going up, if you're working out or that sort of thing. So unfortunately, I can't speak for the newer 2020, 2021 bottles. It's just kind of something where you could do your own research on, go sample it, that sort of thing. But from 2017, it was still holding up strong. And this one did come out in 2012. I find this one to be best suited for cooler weather. Again, it is sweet. When you get heat on it, it gets very strong, very cloying. So you want some cooler, milder weather to help tame it down. Fall and winter time is perfect. Situations, typically, it's going to be a party scenario, just something where it's going to be a bit more casual, a bit more fun. This isn't something that you would wear to a black tie event, that's for sure. That being said, it could also be kind of used as an evening out scent, kind of used as a date fragrance if you limit your sprays substantially. But I think there are better options out there for date fragrances. I would save this one for situations where you want to be a bit more loud and playful and you're okay with getting some attention, because again, this one will announce itself. What do you want to do next? Should we go in the order of release? Might as well. We'll go over to Flame here. Versace Eros Flame. So this one has notes like orange, vanilla, tonka bean, lemon, black pepper, geranium. So similar to Eros. You'll notice there's no mint, but there is geranium. And a lot of times, and of course this depends on the geranium, it even depends on the mint, geranium can kind of give off a green, minty type of smell. It's oftentimes used in aromatic fougères to kind of give a green, minty, fresh pop. And that's kind of the substitute here for this one, you know. They're replacing the geranium for the mint. And it does give you that green aromatic opening. You get the creamy orange, you get a nice sour lemon in here as well, and of course the sweetness, but not really an apple opening, more so an orange and lemon opening. The way the orange mixes with the vanilla gives it this nice creamy sweetness, even more so than in the original Eros. I find this one overall to be a little bit more based on the citruses and the fruits, and just not much of an emphasis like the original on like this minty vanilla. And again, don't get me wrong, the vanilla is still prominent, the tonka bean is still prominent. This is still a sweet scent, but I find it to be just a little bit more fresh and aromatic compared to the original. It still has that playful type of feel overall. And if you're someone who doesn't like the original because it's just too much, it's a bit too overbearing, you may like Eros Flame. Now, if you're just straight up against Eros just because it's way too playful and you don't want anything to do with that sort of thing, then you're probably not going to like this. But if you want Eros, but just a bit toned back, because again, Eros itself, the Eau de Toilette, is loud and in your face, no doubt about it. If you want something that's just a bit less extra, a bit less just all at once, Eros Flame is a really solid flanker, and I'm glad that they kind of proceeded with this one because I think it's nice stuff. It's very pleasant, and I do enjoy this one. It's an Eau de Parfum, so it's a good performer. 9 hours or so longevity, 9-10, solid projection. It's strong stuff. Now, between this and the Eau de Toilette, I find myself reaching for this one a bit more. I find it to be a bit more versatile because it isn't quite as loud and sweet, and it's, good for I don't know, spring, fall, and winter. Whereas kind of by the time I get to spring with the original Eros, I just don't really want anything to do with it because it is warming up a bit even in springtime. I find this one to be good for the transitional seasons, spring and fall, and also winter as well if you wanted it to. And even on a cooler summer day or a summer evening, you could pull this one off. Again, pretty solid stuff. Eros Flame, this is a nice one to have. And last up, we have Eros Eau de Parfum. So this seems to be the answer to all of the reformulation talk that goes on about the Eau de Toilette. So, no breakdown. Basically exactly the same as the Eau de Toilette for the most part here. We got mint, we have candy apple, vanilla, ambroxan, no tonka bean in here, which is interesting. But again, you still do get that sweetness. You get that mint apple in the opening. Ambroxan is a bit prominent in both the Eau de Toilette and this one as well. It gives you a bit of a fuzziness and kind of adds to the sweetness as well. And that's part of what makes this so good in terms of compliments. Just about anything with ambroxan in it seems to be a compliment beast, and well, it's kind of a trend behind that. So this one here, the Eau de Parfum, also has the addition of orange in the opening. There's still the lemon like in the EDT, but orange is a new thing that, well, was in Flame, but not in the Eau de Toilette. So I get kind of the apple, the mint, the vanilla, the orange, and just a little bit of the lemon. It's not quite as strong though. What I also find interesting is that there's a bit of leather in the base that you pick up on, which is a nice little twist. I find this one to be a tiny bit more mature, a tiny bit more refined compared to the Eau de Toilette. It still does maintain that similar smell very much, just with a bit more of a polished feel. Now, performance on this one is very solid. 10 plus hour scent each time I wear it on my skin. It's strong stuff. Projection, similar thing. It's a good projector. Obviously, this one is an Eau de Parfum, so you would expect it to have good longevity. Typically, the higher the concentration, projection will go down. A lot of times, not always though. So this one doesn't quite sparkle and pop off my skin like the EDT does, and that's just due to the concentration. It's really hard to beat the projection and vibrance of an Eau de Toilette, but in terms of longevity here, it is great, and still the projection is solid for being an Eau de Parfum. So if you find that you have issues with newer Versace Eros Eau de Toilettes in terms of their performance, check out the Eau de Parfum and that should solve your problem. So I'm going to go ahead and start to wrap this one up. Which ones are my favorite? Honestly, anymore, the Eau de Parfum and Flame are kind of the ones that I give my most attention to. Again, I like the EDT mostly for nostalgic purposes. It still just smells good, and it does remind me of back when I first started collecting. But if I'm going to reach for either of them, or I guess any of them, it would be either Flame or the new Eau de Parfum. I like that the Eau de Parfum is a bit more refined, it's a bit more mature to a very slight extent, it's just a bit more polished, just like an updated Eros, and I really do enjoy that. And again, Flame is just toned back on the sweetness. You get a bit more citrus, a bit more of the lemon, the orange, that sort of thing in the opening. It smells very nice. Those are kind of my two favorites. But don't get me wrong, the EDT is still a solid scent. If you are someone that does have issues with the performance of that one, then you can look into the EDP and Flame. those two are more than enough. And those are the two that I would recommend you buy in 2021. And if you want to buy any of these scents, I will link them all down below to discounters, to the lowest prices around between FragranceNet and FragranceX. I always try to link to wherever it is the cheapest so you can get the best deal. Just use those links down below. It'll take you right there, and you can get these for usually sub $50 range. Versace fragrances are normally pretty affordable on discounters. Again, somewhere around in the $50, $60 range, 40, 50, 60, somewhere around in there, depending on tester, full presentation, bottle size, that sort of thing. I do want to hear from you. Let me know down below which Versace Eros is your favorite. Let me know. Do you like Eros? Do you not like it? What do you think of the new Eau de Parfum? And also, are you wanting another flanker? It kind of seems like they stopped, and they did. I mean, 2012 is when the Eau de Toilette came out, and it was, what, 2017 or something when Flame came out? 2018, I think, end of 2018, something like that. So they really took their time on making an Eros flanker. But then they pumped out the Eau de Parfum pretty quickly after Flame, so who knows, maybe they're going to get on a roll here and start putting out a bunch of different Eros fragrances. To be honest with you, I kind of hope they don't, because I think that's a bit unnecessary. There's not much else you can do with this DNA. I would rather see a new fragrance from Versace, like a brand new one, because I think we need it, but who knows. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.